Welcome back to the Press Box, everybody. Zach Miller, Mark Haskell here, and Mark, local stuff has finally started up, and for everybody out there, there's no more lull for us anymore as sports writers, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing because that means that families, everything else, newborn babies, new houses, everything, that gets all pushed to the back burner.
Hey, you don't have a baby yet.
Not yet. 2.5 weeks, though, I will.
September 17th. Mark it on your calendars.
Could be more, could be less. We'll never know.
I doubt you'll stick that due date. It'll probably come a couple days late.
Probably.
We'll see.
That's what we're
hopefully not for
hoping
Megan.
for. Yeah, yeah, she's ready to be done.
I
Pregnant.
bet she is.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the local jauntlet of sports here. Golf has started up. Last week they started up for regular seasons. Mark was up Belfast, Mountain View at a Waldo County matchup. I got to witness Oceanside and Madomic on their first match in Rockland on last Friday. And then I also got to see Camden Hills and the great Cole Anderson once again back on Tuesday when they played Brunswick and Messalonskee.
Yeah, my match was from what I've seen, I've written up results from two matches. Belfast. They're 2-0 in the early going. They've won both of their matches against Lincoln and Mountain View pretty convincingly. Mountain View, they're gonna have kind of a tough season, I think. Like they've got some rebuilding golfers. I talked to their coach Craig Tozier, and he said it's just it's going to be a slow-going kind of year for them, but it's all about progression and it's all about getting better. You know what I mean? Like the early part of the season, that's when you're still trying to figure stuff out. But I liked what I saw from the Belfast golfers. They looked really sharp, and obviously, you saw Cole at the Samoset, and obviously the Madomic Oceanside match. That was a really good match. That was a 5-4 match.
That was it was a 5-4 match. It was really close too. Carson Murphy from Madomic got the medalist honors in that one. It was actually, not too often you see the mid-coast matchups coming right out of the gate for matchups like that. I think Oceanside and Madomic will both be, I think they'll be above average for team-wise. They have some pretty good golfers on their teams. And then obviously for Camden Hills, you have Cole Anderson who kind of just carries the whole team because he's Cole Anderson. But
they have a ton of other terrific golfers.
They really do. And they beat Brunswick 9-0 and beat Messalonskee 7-2. So, I mean, Anderson was the medalist in both of those matches with a 35 at the Samoset for 9 holes, which is very impressive.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it.
Golf, breaking news.
I know, we've talked about it plenty enough how great Cole is. But like you said, they have a bunch of other great golfers, and top to bottom, they're going to be pretty good in Class A.
But today, we're shooting this on a Thursday, and today we've got soccer starting regular season, field hockey starting regular season. By the time we shoot next week, all of our local sports are going to be up and running. We've got football this week. We've got, Oceanside is going to MDI. We've got Mount View going to Foxcroft. We've got Camden Hills going to Sacapee Valley.
And Belfast and Waterville.
Belfast is hosting Waterville. So we've got a full slate of football games, and those are all Friday night, I believe.
Madomic Saturday.
Yeah, and Madomic Saturday. Yeah. So we've, this is what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
The summer gets so boring, especially toward the end. There's just not a ton to talk about. It's, not that we don't like talking about national stuff as well, but I mean, this is why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, it's much easier to talk about the local stuff because you see it more often than we can watch the Red Sox really, or watch the Patriots and the Eagles. We can watch it because it's on Sundays normally. You get a better sense of those games. But yeah, the interesting part about this week was a lot of preseason stuff got canceled or postponed, including regular season action that was supposed to start maybe yesterday, including golf and other golf matches that were continuing. And you did up a nice little story on Village Soup for the website and talked to the ADs and I think Lindsay Carr from the trainer from Madomic.
Chris Audette for Camden, some of the athletic trainers, some of the athletic directors, and basically the National Weather Service issued warnings about the air quality and everything like that. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, I mean, you got to put the safety of the kids first. But, for me, it was such a bummer because, obviously the big game that got canceled, practices got modified and, lots of preseason events were canceled, some regular season stuff was canceled. But the big thing we really wanted to see was the Camden Hills Scarborough girls soccer match, which would have been a rematch of last year's state final. That would have been a ton of fun to watch. But obviously, you got to put the safety of the kids ahead of anything else, and it's preseason.
Yeah, I think Chris Audette at Camden basically echoed the same statement you just made about wanting to see that matchup, but obviously the kids come first, and it's not worth it to put the kids out there in that heat.
Agreed.
Today is only going to be up to like 70, 75 maybe, and then tomorrow's going to be like 70.
Oh, you mean this is going to feel like Maine
It's
again?
It's going to feel like fall.
Not like
fall
Honduras.
in Maine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no more Florida weather, hopefully, but you never know. We always seem to get that one September weekend that always is dreadfully hot, more so than the other days of the month. So I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. But anyway, now we're going to switch gears and talk about a subject that is kind of coming onto the forefront in professional sports, aka sports gambling. An interesting ESPN put out an article. Was it maybe yesterday? The Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer out of New York suggests should be a federal framework for sports betting. So that would be very interesting. Obviously, gambling is not regulated by the federal government; it's by the state. Maine has legal gambling, as does Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island. Vermont and New Hampshire do not in New England. But Schumer suggests include the idea that all sports books only use official league data to determine outcomes and that the sports leagues themselves should be involved in determining what bets would be accepted when placing wagers. He also suggests leagues would have to reasonably step up monitoring, but he did not mention a so-called integrity fee, which is the idea that leagues should be paid a portion of bets on their sport as compensation for ratcheting up so-called security associated with the sports gambling, which would be interesting. Basically, the leagues wouldn't get any money out of it if
they should
if it was legal.
In my opinion, they should.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I have any strong opinions on the whole sports gambling thing. I've never been a sports gambling guy. If I'm ever going to a casino, I'm just going to go lose some money at poker and blackjack, and then I'm probably going to leave. But it's kind of a slippery slope you're going down. I mean, like obviously we're leaning in that direction. This is happening. Within the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, we're going to have sports betting. It's going to be fully legal everywhere. And I'm just my big question is how do you regulate it? Like you said, not only on a state level but on a nationwide level.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest question that we're facing. The federal framework, the suggestion of it would make it illegal for anyone under 21 to place a bet, which is interesting because if you go to other states, you don't have to be 21 to bet. There are some states that are 18, that are 19, that are 20, because it's all done by the state. The states regulate the casinos and the age to gamble. But this would regulate a national framework so that every state that has legalized gambling would have to follow the same rules, which I don't really agree with because it should be a state right, not a federal government right. The federal government should regulate gambling, sports gambling. It should be done on the state level so that every state can have its own rules, so to speak. So if you want to be 18 and they make the age 18, you can go and place a bet on the Lakers-Celtics game for this year or whatever, make it $40 or whatever.
I'm all for that. I mean, I if you want to go and bet on a Patriots game or a Celtics game or something like that, and you're of age and you want to do that, I think it'd be good to have a regulated place where you can go and place those bets. I don't like the idea of being able to go into the back of somebody's chop shot and being let me put $20 on the Browns.
But that's what's happening now is all the black market sports betting, so to speak, with all the bookies that you could easily find somebody to place a bet. I'm sure you could. But
it should probably be like this place right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, right behind us. Let's go by. Let's just turn around and go place a bet.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you can already bet on horse races, which is technically the same thing. It's a sport, and you're betting on horses, and you pretty much can do that in any state where gambling is legal. And sometimes states will make horse betting legal without making blackjack or craps or any slot play legal as well, which is also interesting. So like you said, it's a very slippery slope. And it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
Well, I mean, I think that without getting on a big political rant here, I think that the problems in this country are a lot bigger than sports betting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when I see Chuck Schumer sounding off on this kind of stuff, I'm like, don't you have other things you could be working on? Really? I don't know. I mean, I want this, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I think that I think it's going to be a tough thing to regulate, and I think you're always looking to it could bring more drugs, it could bring more crime, it could bring there are all those things, and that's why they're trying to work this all out.
Exactly.
But obviously, I want it, but you need more information.
Yeah, you do. Right now, Delaware, New Jersey, and Mississippi, you can all place bets since the Supreme Court overturned McMurphy versus NCAA. Which overturned the federal ban on state-sponsored sports betting as a result of the Professional Amateur Sports Act from 1992. So basically, you could only place wagers on sports in Las Vegas before that was overturned, because New Jersey put up a big stink because they have Atlantic City down there, and they wanted to do sports betting. And they took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court overturned it. In New Jersey, you can now place bets on sports, and they also have the first state to have a mobile-type betting system where you can do that on your phone or online or however else you want to do it on mobile-wise. which would be interesting anyway. So I guess if you really wanted to, you could just take a trip down south to Delaware, New Jersey, or Mississippi. So
I would have to
it'd be
really
interesting.
want to place a bet on a game.
Yeah, you
to
really want
drive
to.
all the way to
Yeah.
Delaware.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's already started. I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how it goes and to see if if it does get passed, if the NBA, MLB, PGA, and all these other leagues want a piece of the action, for basically all the stuff if they're gonna regulate it, they're gonna want something out of it.
So if you could bet on one game, like week 1 of the NFL season's coming up. So if you could bet on one game next week, what would you bet on?
Oh, I don't know the full schedule. I'd probably place a bet that the Pats will beat the Texans, though.
I think that'd be a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
That's a home game, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hmm?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is a home game, but it all depends on what odds you're getting too. You got to play the odds. If you're gonna get crappy odds, you might as well play. I don't know. Maybe you bet on the Browns this year.
I keep looking at the Browns. It's hard not to get excited about that team. I just think it'll be, and I don't even mean the hard knock stuff. I mean, I just think that's just going to be a fun team to follow. They've got a lot of polarizing personalities. Now they don't have to worry about Michael Kendricks and his insider trading stuff that he's got going on. But I think that, with Baker Mayfield, and you've got Jarvis Landry, and you've got Josh Gordon, and it just seems like they've upgraded at a lot of their positions, and they're kind of going to be. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be this year's kind of media darling in the NFL.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So, do you think that Wentz will play in the first few weeks, or no?
No.
For the Eagles.
No, I don't think so, and I don't care. I really don't care. I mean, we won the Super Bowl, and we've got Nick Foles, and granted, he looked terrible against the Browns. I'm not saying that he did.
5-2 score there.
He looked 5-0.
It was 5-0.
5-0.
It's like
it was pretty
the Red
bad.
Sox scored more runs last night than.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
Both teams did combined in a football game.
But I'm not worried. Like, as far as I'm concerned, let him take the whole month of September off. Like, make sure he comes back healthy. It's kind of like with Brady a couple years ago when he finally accepted the suspension for Deflategate. Patriot fans are like, you know what? If Garoppolo and Brissett can get us to 2-2, that's all good. And you guys ended up getting 3-1 out of that deal.
So
I mean, like,
it wasn't a bad deal.
I'm pretty sure Foles could lead us to a 2-2 record. And I kind of like the idea of Foles being out there for that first game. I mean, we wouldn't have won that Super Bowl if it wasn't for him. I like the idea of him going out there and leading us out there that first possession.
Yeah.
So Wentz, if you're watching this, you're not. Just take a breath. Take a breath. Just take a couple more weeks.
Well, next week we'll actually be able to talk about regular season action in the first week and how teams got under what they have under their belt, wins, losses, ties, whatever they may be.
I'm
and
excited.
we'll also get to preview week 1 of the NFL and see what cool matchups we got coming up next week.
Should be good.
So until next week, that's Mark. I'm Zach. This is the Press Box.